So, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Reverend Dr. Suzi Schadle. I'm the minister here at Suncoast, and I welcome you. I'm adding my welcome to all the other welcomes that have happened. So if you don't feel welcome by now, see me after the class, and we'll love you up. We'll give you a blending or something. So most of you know that Centers for Spiritual Living, they're all over the world, are doing something this year to work together to have a sort of a consciousness that's permeating the whole world, not just happening in a few centers here and there. And so the theme for Centers for Spiritual Living for 2017 is values-based spiritual living. And the theme for April, by the way, welcome to April. Wow, it's like, wow, I woke up and I'm like, wow, it's April. How does that happen? Wasn't it just New Year's? Yes. Could have sworn it was just New Year's. But anyway, it's April, and the theme from Centers for Spiritual Living for the month of April is transformation and evolution, and which is, most people are into that, transformation and evolution. Who wants transformation and evolution? Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How many of you are willing to change to get it? Yeah. Yeah, it's not quite as high up. But Centers for Spiritual Living encourages us by saying that we do deep interpersonal work of self-discovery and healing to reveal the greater truth of our divinity, wholeness, and freedom. So there's a real freedom in our willingness to have the courage to change in order that we might transform and evolve into more of who we truly are. And what I've chosen for the theme for Suncoast, I actually started in March, and we will continue it through Easter Sunday, at which point we will have evolved and transformed and become so real that you can hardly stand yourselves. Because the theme is, get real, the growth principles of the Velveteen Rabbit. And, I gotta tell you, I know you may think I'm kind of being cute and clever to pick a children's story to say, wow, this is more than a children's story, but I'm telling you the truth. It really is way more than a children's story. We thought we understood it, and we did at a certain level when we were kids and we encountered this story or heard about it, or saw the movie. Don't have I made a movie by now? Surely somebody has. But the truth is, it's only in later life that I think we begin to get the real nuances of the Velveteen Rabbit story. And the Velveteen Rabbit is quite a spiritual master, and we can learn a lot from the Velveteen Rabbit if we are willing to pay attention, to be present, to really get it, and to really work on the very things that little rabbit worked on in order to become real. I fully and wholeheartedly believe that. I'm not doing this to be cute or be a joke. I'm doing it because I have an agenda, and that is for each one of us to get as real as we can possibly be, and be as real as we can possibly be, as much of the time as we can possibly be it. Because I think it makes a difference not only in our own lives, but in the lives of people we care about, and in the lives of this entire planet. And if we don't do it, then who will? That's my question to you. If you don't do it, if we don't do it, then who will? I haven't found them. And I'm hoping I find them here. That's why I'm doing this. And it is also cute. Just in case. That's like people who go to Easter just in case there is a God, So it's like, just in case, I'm going to hedge my bet. Yeah. So what we've looked at so far with the Velveteen Rabbit, we've looked at some pretty powerful growth principles, and I hope you've been doing some of the homework along with me, because it does move us in the direction of becoming more truly who we are. Week 1, we looked at real as possible and real as a process. No matter how long you've been suppressing yourself, real is possible for you in any moment you choose to become real, and it is a process of ongoing becoming. We looked at, the second week, at real is emotional and real is empathetic. That we must be honest with ourselves about what we feel and what our emotions are, and be willing to be open and honest with others that we care about and trust and can be real with. And that we show empathy to others who are doing the same, who are journeying on this human pathway the way that we are. That we have empathy for those people who are also doing the best that they can do, given what they've got right in this moment, and that we're all getting better. And the third week, we looked at real as courageous and real as honest. It does take courage to be real. It really does, because we have so many excuses, so many reasons, so much support for not being real. We get lots of rewards and kudos for not being real, for pretending to be someone we're not. So it requires a great amount of courage in order to take a stand and say, I'm going to be the real person that I am. And to be honest with who that is, honest with myself, first of all, and honest with others. Why not? I mean, why would we throw away a life being somebody or something else and being dishonest with ourselves and others? It makes no sense to me. Now, I got to confess. You know, there's still a little bit of Catholic in me, so I got to confess. I got to confess that I used to think that that made a great deal of sense, to be unreal. And I was good at it. I have to say, I'm a type A personality, so I excelled at being unreal. I was one of the best unreal persons you could have ever encountered. I could have taught a class. But it really didn't work in the end. So the next week, we looked at the idea that real is generous and real is grateful. Real is generous not only with what we have, with our possessions, but with our time, our talent, our treasure. Real is generous by giving who it is that we truly are, and being grateful for who we truly are, and being grateful for other people being willing to be courageous to try and be who they truly are. Being grateful. This week, I want to look at a less fun topic, but we'll get there. We'll get through it. And we must go through it. We can't go around it, over it, under it. We must go through it. Real is painful, and real is flexible. Two things that are probably not at the top of our hit parade. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, I have to admit, pain and flexibility is not at the top of my hit parade. It's not the thing I wake up in the morning and go, wow, I can't wait to be in pain and be flexible about it. So, let's learn a little bit from the Velveteen Rabbit. You know, the backstory you remember is the little cheap, little stuffed Velveteen Rabbit comes to live in the nursery of this little boy who has lots of fancy toys and mechanical toys and wind-up toys, who are very snooty to the bunny. The bunny's kind of intimidated, but he hangs in there. He makes a good relationship with the skin horse, and the skin horse starts talking to him about the possibility of becoming real, and the little rabbit says, wow, that's what I want. I want to become real. And so the skin horse tells him that one of the pathways to being real, he tells him all these things that we're studying, and so the little rabbit takes on all of these growth principles. But one of the biggest ones is to be the presence of love, to be available to love and to be loving. And so the little boy, the little boy gets scarlet fever, and he chooses that little Velveteen Rabbit to comfort him during his bout with scarlet fever. And so the bunny then takes that on. He takes it on very seriously, and his whole care and concern and love is for that little boy and for the little boy to get well. Even to the degree that the little rabbit suffers some from being that comforting presence for the little boy. But that's his concern. That's his caring is for the little boy, because he's generous and he's courageous and he's loving and he wants to be loved and he wants to be real. And so from the story we pick up this. What is real? The rabbit asked the skin horse when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came in to tidy the room. Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? Real isn't how you're made, said the skin horse. It's something that happens to you. Does it hurt? Said the rabbit. Sometimes, said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. When we're real, we are so in possession, so fully in possession of who we truly are, so truly in possession of our magnificence, so truly in possession of the spirit that lives within us, that it doesn't matter that we may come into circumstances that hurt us or that we experience something painful, because it doesn't really hurt us, because we are unhurtable. We are complete, perfect, and whole always, under every circumstance. Now, we may experience some things on the human level that feel a good deal like pain and hurt. I'll grant you that. Been there, done that. But it does not chip away at the truth, the authenticity, and the realness of my spiritual beingness. It does not damage that at all. We remain complete, perfect, and whole, even in the midst of challenge. Awakening into real, it can be painful for that little Velveteen Rabbit, and it can also be painful for us. But the Velveteen Rabbit wanted to experience the rich, full life of being real, and so he was willing to walk the path, no matter where it took him and no matter what experiences it brought with him. Because he did learn along the path that awakening to real, can sometimes be painful and hurtful. And so he experienced some of that. Tony Rayton D'Antonio wrote this: awakening can sometimes be painful. The process of becoming real involves acknowledging pain and loss, but it also includes recovering valuable pieces of ourselves. An essential requirement for being real ourselves is the ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Flexibility is a requirement for anyone who wants to feel safe, happy, and fulfilled. So both, we have to be willing to walk through some of that painful territory because there is a greater yet to be on the other side of it. And one of the big bonuses is that we start to regather the fragmented pieces of ourselves and become real and whole again in our own experience. And we must be flexible because, you know, I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes the universe throws us a couple of curveballs. Anybody besides me gotten a few of those? Yeah. Okay, so every now and then, so we, you know, you gotta be adaptable, you gotta be flexible, you gotta be willing to move and groove. Right? You know, for us, as we awaken to our real thoughts and our real feelings, you know, here's one of the painful experiences, is that as we awaken, we begin to see and feel those real thoughts and feelings. And what we begin to see often first, before the good stuff, is we begin to see our own imperfection and our own limitations and our own negativity and the negativity around us. And that is a painful revelation. When we finally open up and stop sugarcoating things and tell ourselves the truth, it's like, youch. Yeah, I don't know, you know, the first time I really was honest with myself about what I was thinking and feeling, I was like, wow, how quickly can I get away from you? And everywhere I ran, there I was. The good news is that all of that awakening and all of that awareness and seeing all of that stuff alerts us to some of the obstacles that we may encounter along the journey to real. And there will be challenges, but each one of those challenges makes us more of who we truly are. It makes us stronger, makes us more complete, perfect, and whole. Now, some of those negative thinking, negative believing, limitations, imperfections come to us through well-meaning conditioning from our culture and from our schools and from society and even from our family. They all are well-meaning and condition us, they think, in order to be able to navigate the world. You know, that we've got to, you know, I'll never forget, you know, after my mother died, I just thought of it. After my mother died, I found one of her journals. And we had had a rocky relationship. It was just tough. I mean, we locked horns a lot, and I felt like I was never enough, never would be enough. And that it was just constant criticism. I could never live up to her expectations. And I read a place in her journal that said that she had made a conscious decision to be pretty tough on me. She wanted to toughen me up for the world that I'd be facing, especially as a woman back in the olden days. That she wanted me to be able to navigate through this world in a positive and powerful way. And so her thought was that if I toughen her up, if I'm tough on her, she'll, you know, nothing out there in the world will rock her. So it was well-meaning, but it was very damaging, because what it caused me to do was to retreat into unrealness so that the real Suzi really couldn't be hurt by her. Mm-hmm. So good intentions, what's that? Good intentions pave the road to that place we don't believe in. Yeah. The road goes all the way up to, oh yeah, we don't believe in that. Yeah. So well-meaning intentions and conditioning sometimes do not serve us. So don't do it to somebody else. That would be the lesson here. Because it's, you know, that kind of thing can impose severe limitations on our own self-expression, our ability to be real, to get real, to stay real, and to express what that reality is. You know, it's a painful, painful realization that often brings anger and hurt and resentment and grief. I went through a lot of that. A lot of anger, And then I realized that the anger was simply masking the hurt that I felt. The feeling that I wasn't good enough. And then there was a real grief around that. And lots of expensive therapy. You know, hopefully the little Velveteen Rabbit and I can save you all a bunch of money. And so you don't have to have expensive therapy. So the journey to real, as the little rabbit is finding out, and we find out, is initially not really easy, and it's not just a feel-good experience right away. It is a toughening experience, but not because we're being conditioned to suppress ourselves, but because we're being asked to let ourselves fully express. You know, we hear things like, oh, I'm feeling good. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I'm fine. Everything's okay. These are emotionally numb words. You know, I'll never forget one time, I mean, it really hit me like a ton of bricks. Somebody called me, I was home sicker than a dog. Somebody called me and says, hey, it's so-and-so, how are you? And I said, fine. And then I went, wait a minute, whoa, do-over. I am not fine. I am sicker than a dog. I am not fine. But it's like that automatic, numb, emotional response that we have to so many things. Stop that. And if you're really fine, and everything is good, express that. But don't just be on autopilot. Just like Roger was saying earlier with the affirmation. Don't be rote about it. Don't just make it words. Make it meaningful. Make it powerful. The journey of awakening is about feeling real emotion. Feeling the real things that you're feeling and expressing those. And initially, when we are willing to do that, we may reveal and feel suppressed emotions like anger and hurt and fear. And they're not fun. I'm not trying to make you think that they are. They're not. They're not fun. But they are part of the human experience. And it's important that we acknowledge them and not buy a condo there, but move on. Unconscious, numb feelings like that cause that unreal experience of life. You know, when we've got sort of the pat answer, okay, answer A, push button B, you know, then we're not really living. We're not really being present. We're being unreal, and we're having an unreal life experience that really does not serve us or anybody else, for that matter. You know, when we access and release the negative charge that all of that past stuff and our past way of being unreal, when we release all of that, it moves us toward a sense of peace and a feeling in alignment with ourselves. A feeling like, wow, I know who I am and I know how to be who I am. That's the sense or the sensation or the experience of being real. An awakening to real, who we really are, sends us from emotional pain into emotional sensitivity, which also can be challenging at times. You know, just because you know people who are emotionally sensitive. You know, and sometimes I think we are critical and judgmental of people who are emotionally sensitive. I know I am. It does not please me at all to stand up here and say that to you, but I catch myself being judgmental and critical of people that I perceive as babies. I don't know. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. It's like, toughen up! But if toughen up is unreal, then that's not very good advice. Toughen up if you're tough, I guess. But, you know, being real is about as tough as you can get. It requires more of somebody than any kind of fakery. So the journey of awakening to real can move us through emotional pain so that we can move through it, not around it, not avoid it, not do a spiritual bypass, and move us into emotional sensitivity. But sensitivity gives us an option for choices also. We can choose our sensitivity. You know, because we're no longer numb, because we're moving out of that place of numbness, we begin to see clearly the negativity around us and the negativity that may exist within us. And that, you know, that's not a fun experience. I don't presume to say that it is. You know, we see stuff around us in the world even, maybe with people that we care about, maybe people we don't even know, and we see that people get harmed by judgment, and by cruelty and by control. There are all kinds of things that we do to one another that are not very nice. And as we begin to awaken, we begin to get sensitive to those things, whether we're participating in doing it to others or it's being done to us. But it can only be done to us as we receive. It only comes to us if we allow it. And it only happens from us if we do it, if we allow ourselves to be that unreal and that unkind. Now, as we awaken and become more real, here's a real irony that blew my mind, I gotta tell you. That sometimes we'll notice that family and friends, the people we care about the most, the people we think care about us the most, may suddenly seem shallow and unsupportive of our becoming real. I was shocked to find that out. I thought, of course, everybody would want to support me in becoming more real. Not so much. It's a scary thing for other people when we change. It's a very scary thing for other people because they've gotten used to us being a certain way. They've come to know us in a certain way. And when we aren't that way anymore, we create a new normal, and that shifts everything for another person who's in relationship with us. And it can be very uncomfortable for them because guess what? It kind of holds up a mirror that says, you might want to think about becoming real too. But I don't want to grow up. I don't want to become real. I'm pretty comfortable with being unreal. I've got this rolled down, you know? So sometimes I noticed that people actually became hostile when I did not behave in the way they'd become used to me behaving. So getting real was a little bit painful in that way too, sometimes. You know, it occurs to me that, yesterday was April Fool's Day, and I realized because I have a little thing that comes up on my phone that congratulates me on that day. Because, for being a fool. Yeah. Actually for stop being a fool. On April Fool's Day, 35 years ago, I made the decision to get clean and sober. And that is a major, major decision in saying I want to become real. That was my Velveteen Rabbit day. The day I decided to stop being a fool. And everything in my life changed. I mean, everything. And it was absolutely terrifying to make that decision because I knew that I was on ground that was completely unfamiliar to me. That I didn't have a clue how to be what I was asking myself to become, which was to become me. It's like that was the farthest thing from my ability to grasp at the time. But I made the decision and I had the courage to do it. And that was the beginning of my journey to real. And at times it was very difficult, and it was very scary, and it was very painful, and it was very tempting to say, yeah, I'm done. I'll have a whiskey. I mean, it was very challenging in the beginning. And all the people I hung with were no longer part of my life because they weren't ready to become real. And some of those people never did. Some of those people didn't make it. They're not with us anymore. But I lost them a long time ago, and that was painful because I thought I had a bunch of friends that, I was pretty tight with. And most of those fell away. They couldn't handle me being real. But I have a whole new set of relationships in my life. And they're good, and they're people who are also trying to be real. And so, 35 years, so I'm actually not as old as I look. I'm actually only 35. I'm gonna put that on my next resume. I'm employable, which is only 35. So, and some of you know that journey. That is a beginning step in becoming real. Ernest Holmes, our founder, wrote, I do not think that we should make such a claim that divinity, make such a claim of divinity that we forget we are human, for our humanity proclaims the creativity of the divine. Human we are, doing the best we can and ever seeking a fuller realization of our source. Our experience is filled with laughter and tears, singing, dancing, praying, and exulting, and sometimes falling into the depths of despair. True. It's part of the human experience. And even Ernest Holmes, our founder, found himself sometimes in the depths of despair. But that's where some of the realness begins, that we're willing to be real in the moment and to walk through that human experience. And I guarantee you that if we fully embrace our human experience, whatever it may be at any given moment, if we fully embrace the human experience and fully express the human experience, it ultimately gives way to the divine within us, and we become the experience of spirit on earth. We become it. I guarantee you it'll happen. So back to the Velveteen Rabbit. So he was chosen to comfort the boy during the scarlet fever thing. The boy and the little Velveteen Rabbit became very close during that difficult time, as you can well imagine, through unconditional love and acceptance of each other. They were loving of each other. And through that experience, the little Velveteen Rabbit begins to show signs of transformation, even before the transformation into real is complete. He's showing signs of being transformed, of becoming more real, through his selfless concern and love for the little boy. But that mean old doctor insisted that the little Velveteen Rabbit, along with all the bed sheets and everything else that had been there during the fever of the scarlet fever, that all of that stuff had to be put in a pile out in the yard and burned. And so, while waiting in the yard on the pile to be burned, the Velveteen Rabbit saw two strange beings creep out of the tall bracken near him. They were rabbits like himself, but quite furry and brand new. They must have been very well made, for their seams didn't show at all. And they changed shape in a queer way when they moved. One minute they were long and thin, and the next minute fat and bunchy, instead of staying the same like he did. So the Velveteen sees real rabbits for the very first time, and what he notices and marvels at is their ability to jump and hop and cavort around. And he's like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then he's really, really especially intrigued by how the little bunnies can flex and bend their bodies. And so he's looking at them, looking for all the mechanical wind-up mechanisms, because he's saying, these must be really fancy toys. And he can't see any of those wind-up mechanisms. He just sees their ability to do all this cool stuff. Because real rabbits move and change shape as they move, because they're flexible in their realness. Humans, us, we also need flexibility to be real and to be happy and to be fulfilled on this journey. You know, like real rabbits, real people need to flex and bend and adapt. We can't just stay rigidly the same, although I've known some people who have made a lifetime pursuit of being rigidly the same. Real frees our capacity to experience and express ourselves more fully. Real. And the freedom of full self-expression brings us happiness and a sense of fulfillment. You know, when you have to keep stuff bottled up, you don't feel fulfilled and happy and excited. You feel combustible. Flexibility to adapt to change in our lives, change all around us, it's an essential requirement of becoming real. It's unreal to think that we're not changing, or that people around us or circumstances or the world is not changing. I mean, it's changing faster than we have ever had it change in all of human history. Changing so rapidly you can hardly keep up with it. Anybody ever feel that?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, just when you got something down, it's like, oh, okay, that changed. All right. Yeah, all right. Okay, don't write anything down in ink. Because it'll change. Ernest Holmes said, we need to have a good-natured flexibility toward all that we encounter. Not fighting against life, but cooperating with it. We must be flexible. And nature demands this, for if the tree did not bend before the wind, it would break. We are apt to hold our thoughts so static that it finally becomes a habit which destroys not only our mental happiness, but also the spiritual influx. Let us try to believe that if God is for us, nothing can be against us. So some flexibility, some willingness to adapt. Because like the trees, I mean, we see that a lot in Florida. Well, I haven't seen it yet, thank God. But you know, when the hurricane comes, the things that are flexible remain. The things that are stiff, boom, break. And we see that all over the news, right? So we can look at nature. We can look at, you know, learn from not only the Velveteen Rabbit, but just nature all around us. So it's important that we be flexible and that we shift our beliefs about change and flexibility. Being real enables us to embrace change. You know, shifting our beliefs and our attitudes about it is a start. You know, change does not equal disaster. Some people believe it does. Change does not equal disaster. Our response, however, dictates our experience of change. And if we embrace it as a disaster, trust me, it will be a disaster in our experience. Change in and of itself is not a disaster. Change is inevitable. Change is one of the things we can count on. Change is a natural evolution. It's a natural unfoldment and becoming. It is about growth. You know, the reality is in nature, and we're part of that, is that we must change or we atrophy and die. Things that don't change are dying. Change does not equal failure. Just because we did something one way and then we decided to change it doesn't mean that the other way was a failure. It just means things have changed, or we've made a conscious decision to change something. And that's a good thing. Sticking with something that doesn't work, that's just not very smart. Change can spur us to evolve and to improve, actually, where we let go of the old and we embrace the new, we embrace possibility. And change is very powerful. Change changes us deeply, at a very deep level, and it adds to the unfoldment of the real you. Change pushes us, it catapults us. And flexibility helps us to reframe what's going on and to adapt to changing circumstances so that we can be powerfully present and transformative in it rather than be a victim of it. You know, we have a phrase in this teaching that I think is very powerful and apt right now. Change your thinking and change your life. You be the change. You be the change you wish to see in the world, as Gandhi put it. Don't wait for change to wash over you and knock you on your butt. You be the change. You be the impetus for change. You be the momentum for change. And be conscious about it. So it's the change that you want, not the one that you do. Another way of putting it, we saw in Matthew, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Open up your mind to new possibility. Open up your mind to evolution, to becoming, to transformation. Open up, and it will be transformed, your life. We're transformed not into someone different than who we are, but from who we are not into who we really are. That's what transformation is. We mix up transformation sometimes and think, oh my gosh, I want to be somebody totally different. No, you're not. You're going to stop being somebody totally different. You're going to stop being who you're not, and you're going to start being who you really are. And the world will be a better place for it, and so will you be a better person for it. You know, being real is an opportunity not only to be transformed in your own life, but it is an opportunity to become a transformative force in the world for good. That's what being real can do for us. We can become the transformative force for good in the world, not only for ourselves, but for everyone. And so I really encourage you, I implore you, to be real. Please be real. Be as real as you can possibly be in any given now moment, because the now moment is a moment of creation, and everything you create out of now, if you create it out of real, will be powerful and present long beyond you. If you create out of unreal, imagine that world. Fake news. So blessings on your journey of getting real, and begin this week by transforming the pain of awakening into the flexible unfoldment of your own evolution. That's your gift to the world. And so it is.